Hey there, friends. Welcome to the Having a Mom Moment podcast, where we dive deep into the world of motherhood and beyond. I'm your host, Shannon Warner, and I am excited to embark on this journey with all of you. Here's the deal. This podcast is your ultimate sanctuary, your sacred space to hit pause on the chaos of mom life and reconnect with the amazing woman behind the title of mom. Yep, it's all about those precious mom moments because, let's face it, we all need a little more time for ourselves. Am I right? So what can you expect from our time together? Well, picture this. We'll be soaking up wisdom from fellow moms, sharing their stories and triumphs and how they've tapped into alignment on their own motherhood journeys. It's like a mom-to-mom chat over coffee, with a sprinkle of inspiration and a dash of humor thrown in for good measure. We're here to light up your soul, to remind you of your incredible power, and to celebrate the unique spark that makes you, you. Because when we take care of ourselves, we become unstoppable forces for good in the lives of those we love. So join me as we laugh, learn, and rediscover the magic of this crazy ride called motherhood together. Get ready for your weekly dose of connection and encouragement, because around here, we don't just mom. We mom with purpose and power in alignment with our true selves. Stay tuned, my friends. The adventure starts now. Hello, my friends. Welcome back to the podcast. Thank you so much for being here. It means so much that you take the time to tune in. I know you're so busy, and I know it can be challenging even just to find the time to make it through a whole podcast episode. So thank you. Your listens do not go unnoticed. This week, I want to share with you a recording of an Instagram Live I did with Kelly Tibbits, who was on several episodes back talking about the Enneagram, and then she came on to my Instagram Live to talk about the working genius. So Kelly Tibbits is a life coach who specializes in Enneagram and the working genius to help you understand yourself better so that you can move through your world in a way that feels really aligned and yummy. So I hope you love the conversation. There will be another one that she and I do together before too long, and I will share that here as well, because I know Instagram Lives are hard to catch and hard to find and sometimes hard to get through. So it'll be available for you here in the coming weeks. Okay, on to the episode.
Oh my goodness.
It's third time
Oh, we did it. That was me. That was the weirdest thing.
You know what, though? I think that's almost funny because now it's like we've done 3 IG lives. You've done it 3 times.
Yeah.
So now that's well.
I was like, it can't be that bad. I read the quick instructions and I'm like, oh, that seems easy. No one talked about the random ringing, right? And it just kept happening.
I've never seen this before. So, all right. Hello. How are you otherwise?
Otherwise, it's fantastic. So good. We're in the thick of the craziness with dance recital and rehearsal and having to pick my child up early from school so I can get her to rehearsal, all the things, but it's all good. How are you?
Awesome. I'm excited to talk to you about the widget. I think it's going to really help you understand what energizes and exhausts you. And so when you add that in with your Enneagram, I think it's just going to give you this really great self-awareness that's going to help you in this busy season, which is what we all need.
Oh my gosh, I love it so much. And a lot of the audience is working moms especially. So I'm interested to see how this all kind of comes together and maybe shed some light on their own. And I know it's not limited just to the workplace, right? It can be about how you move about the world, but I'm interested to see how it ties in and if it is enlightening for anybody.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. So Working Genius was invented by Pat Lencioni. He's a great author. You should look him up in the library and read all his books. And he talks about one of his most famous things is if you're going to work with people, you want them to be humble, hungry, and smart. That's an ideal team player. But what he came to realize during COVID is that there are these steps to getting work done and why teams are better than individuals, right? As hard as it was for us to connect here, it's actually easier for us to have a conversation than for either of us to come on here and just speak live. Like it's just easier to do things in community. And so when you're in community, then when the areas that you are exhausted by are depleting you, you might actually be in a community with somebody who loves doing the exact thing that you get worn out by. And how great is it for both of us if you get to do the things you're a genius in and I get to do the things I'm a genius in, and we don't have to do all the frustration work alone. So he said there's 6 steps to getting work done. It could be cleaning out your closet after the recital's done because you ended up with like all these extra dance clothes and you have all the dance still in the dance bag. It could be getting a work project done at home. So whatever you're doing that's work needs 6 steps. I'm going to tell you the 6 steps, and we're just going to talk through and say, yeah, that sounds like something I love doing. I mean, I can do it. Or every time I do that, I get so tired. And the reality is you have to do all 6 and you have to do them in this order. And what we do do when we don't know what our genius is, we pop over to where we are a genius and we skip the other steps. We make little workarounds, and it's not best for anybody. So the first step is wonder. And that is, before we do anything, okay, if someone is going to put on a recital, when is it? How much does it cost? Who's going on when? Why are we doing the recital? You have to start with all of the questions. So before we even did an Instagram Live, why would we do it? Who are we helping? What are some of the things we're going to talk about? So do you like thinking of questions? And this is hard because we automatically, without knowing better, think we have to know the answer if we ask a question. And step one is just asking good questions, no answers needed. So I don't like this at all. I find it really hard. What about you?
Oh, I do like it. I can ask questions, especially if I didn't need to know the answer or find the answer. Yes, I could ask questions all day.
So that's so important for you to know this is your genius. And so whenever possible, whether it is for your family, for work, for volunteering, if you can say, hey, before we even begin, can I just write down a few questions? Can I answer them? It's going to make the project go better, because when people start with the ideating, which is step 2, they could be inventing something that's not even needed or not the price point. So the example I use is I used to work at a church and I led all the different parts of my church. And one of the big things we did was a big event every September. And if we jumped in and just started ideating, like, let's go to Costa Rica, without saying first, well, what are we doing and why are we doing it? And where should it be? And when should we stop? We would often put on the wrong event. Yeah. And so the recital, where should it be? Well, it can't be 3 states away because we're trying to bring everybody. And the price point can't be more than a family can afford. And we can't put this 2-year-olds on last because they're going to lose it. So having good questions first is huge. So that's your genius. Then you get to grow in that and be like, you know what? Before we even begin, let me just start with some good questions. The next step is ideating. It's answering all the questions. It's the person who loves the whiteboard with the markers, no wrong answers. I can do this. I don't love it. How about you? Do you love just ideating and thinking about things that don't exist yet?
I do. Yeah. I think I'm stronger with wonder, but I do enjoy it. Yes.
Yeah. So that makes it natural and easy for you to say, okay, here's 100 good questions. Here's some thoughts. Here's some answers. The next step is called discerning, and it's looking at all the ideas on the whiteboard and saying, I think yes, no for a second. I love this step. What do you think about it?
This is where I often experience analysis paralysis, because I'm like, wait, but this could be good. Like, that could be good. This sounds really good, but I think there's some magic in there too. Can we go 3 different ways?
So you don't even mind jumping back to ideating and just expanding rather than discerning and landing on something. You come back with more ideas. Well, what about this? And we could add that. And what about this? So it could be that the discerning step actually makes you a little bit tired. Choosing and deciding and narrowing doesn't always fill you with energy.
Oh, I would agree. Definitely.
But can you think of anybody who does get filled with energy, loves sitting with you and saying, let's decide this?
I don't know that he loves it, but I've made my husband my default because I'm like, I cannot. I just need you to pick, please.
The fun part about human brains, I went to see Cara Lowenthal on Sunday, and she just wrote the most amazing book called Take Back Your Brain. Just made the New York Times bestseller list. It's awesome. And talks about the fact that human brains don't always think true thoughts. And so if you start looking for somebody to partner with you, now that you know you don't love it, you might actually start saying it. But before you knew this information, you probably held yourself to the standard that most women do. I'll just do all 6 steps. I don't want to intrude. I don't want to impose on anybody. I don't want to make it hard for them. If I find it hard, everybody finds it hard. And that was one of the most powerful. I have a different Working Genius episode with Lynn Rangola, and she was a leader and realized after taking the Working Genius assessment that she kept taking on projects that she found exhausting. And she wouldn't want anybody else to have to do it. And then once she noticed, the people who loved doing it were so thankful they gave her that part of the process.
Yeah.
So if your husband loves it, let him discern. If he doesn't love it, who else? You must have a friend, a family member, somebody who would love just sitting with you for 10 minutes. And you're like, here's all my ideas. Yeah. I'm like, okay, let's find the path forward. And you're like, but wait, what about A, B, C, D? And that is where it takes some restraint to say, no, we're moving the train down the track. Yeah. We're done ideating. We're going to pick one. Yes, one thing well and keep moving. So the next step is galvanizing. That's the person who gets on and says, okay, everybody, here we go. So the recital, there's somebody who said, okay, we've decided it's this time and it costs this price. Somebody needs to go sell everyone on coming. Now, it's not hard when the children are little, like, hey, grandma, come visit. She's so adorable. But you still need someone to be like, you got to get here 30 minutes early. And even though all the parents are like, that's too much, they're the one with the energy that says, we decided this. This is where we're going. Come on, let's follow me. Do you enjoy galvanizing people? And it starts with galvanizing yourself. Okay, here we go. We said we're going to do it. Let's go do it. I mean, you showed some tenacity by like restarting this live after 2 attempts. Some people would just give up, be like, wasn't meant to be. So do you enjoy the galvanizing energy of, come on, everyone, this is what we said we're going to do. Let's do it.
Yeah, I don't mind it. I don't mind it. How many geniuses do people have?
So you're looking for what gives you energy and what you're competent in.
Okay.
And I bet you're highly competent in a lot of areas.
Okay. I don't want to like check too many boxes because I don't mind that either.
Well, what you want to notice, what he discovered is where burnout happens is when we're constantly doing the things that we're competent at. We're probably highly competent at them. We're getting paid for them. We're getting rewarded for them. You want to find what gives me energy, and I want to do more of that.
Yeah. Okay.
So
yeah,
if you are a genius in wondering, you could wonder all day. Give you a journal, give you a place to just ask good questions like a podcast. You could do it all day. Maybe you like galvanizing, you're competent in it, but the more you have to do it, the more you realize, oh, I'm getting kind of tired doing this. I wish somebody else would step in and do it. So it's interesting, especially when you consider being a mom. You have to galvanize your kids all the time.
Yeah.
All right, everybody.
Yeah.
I eat dinner. All right, it's time to finish dinner. That's an interesting thing to notice too. It could be a genius, but you're currently working with people who don't like to finish things or don't like to move when they don't want to move. So then it's a little bit hard and more nuanced there. So you want to kind of think maybe work projects, volunteer projects, or maybe you're working with adults. So the next step is enablement. And that's where you get your joy in helping other people succeed. And for me, this is my favorite part of life. That's why I love being a coach. Where it didn't serve me is when I was leading an organization, I didn't like wondering at all. It's my last one. So I wasn't thinking about who, what, where, when, why. I didn't really love ideating either. I didn't mind discerning, but because I really was energized by enabling and discerning, I was kind of keeping us in the same place. What I was great at was helping people get in the right seat on the bus. So though I've left that organization, many of those leaders are still there.
Yeah.
But for the process to move along, especially when COVID happened and we had to reinvent and do everything differently, the parts that I needed to be doing were really, really exhausting to me. And I was not self-aware. I didn't even know any of this. So I kept trying to jump to enablement. Okay, everybody's in leadership. Okay, everybody's going to use their gifts. And just because something is your genius doesn't mean you should be using it when it's the wrong step of the process. So when we've wondered what to do, we've ideated, we've discerned, we've galvanized, okay, everybody, we're going. Then you need somebody there saying, okay, do you need a backpack? Do you need a water bottle? Do you need a nap? Do you need somebody to replace you? Can I put you over here? That's the part I love. So if I'm in a group of people, I love helping people. Even when it comes to coaching, I can sit with people and I'm like, here's where you're a genius. Here's where you could have your next step. I love that part of life. So it may be a great mom of younger children, but once children are older, they don't necessarily want my enablement because they are running their own lives. So learning that and pulling back when it was appropriate was really key to having healthy adult-adult relationships. So enablement, the coaching, the teaching part of life, love it, can do it, makes you tired.
Can do it. Yes. I don't know that it makes me tired. I think it's just something like a hat that I've been able to put on.
Well, it's an interesting hat that I'm encouraged to wear.
Yeah.
So nobody ever says like, oh my gosh, Dad, I can't believe you don't want to spend your day off with your kids and you want to go golfing. No one thinks that. But everybody thinks, oh, Mom, you must love helping your children succeed at everything. And you could be highly competent at it, but it actually exhausts you because it's not your very favorite thing to do because it's not an innate genius that gives you life. And so that's why parenting is meant to be shared equally. There's a really funny person on TikTok and the Red, so she's probably on Instagram too. It's like Clara Bell, do you know her?
I don't.
She always flips the conversation and she's like, oh my goodness, dads, if you just smiled more and dressed, more for the role, I think you would just do better in life. Like she just flips the narrative, right? And so enablement has been just an assumption for all mothers. You love taking all your energy and helping the kids and the teacher and everybody succeed. You know what? Maybe not. Maybe it makes you tired to do it and you could invite some other people into it. And maybe there's somebody else and maybe it's even a dad who enjoys doing that part and we're going to let them do it. And then the last step is the T of tenacity. It's the person who says, I love finishing things. And again, what the nuance is noticing, am I exhausted by it? Can I do it, but it doesn't give me any energy? Or does it actually give me energy? Now, people who grow up to be editors of books often get energized by dotting the I's and crossing the T's. They love it. Many of us have learned with, I forget, are you an Enneagram 1?
Yeah.
like things to be done well, but it doesn't necessarily mean you love being the one to do it.
Right.
So you may have figured out how to have so many systems in place that things are done well, but it may or may not give you energy. So if you were the person at the end of the day that was responsible for putting everything back in its place, making sure that everything was done, looking back and making sure that if we said we're going to do it, we did it. Does it give you a lot of energy to do that? Can you do it because you're competent, or does it actually exhaust you to be the one responsible for that part?
Yeah, that exhausts me for sure.
Yeah. And so that's an interesting thing for an Enneagram 1 to become self-aware in, because you probably have a lot of thoughts about good podcasters always finish and post and have all the notes correctly. Good moms, probably. Good wives, good daughters, good friends. Do you ever notice any thoughts about finishing things in what your body would say is the correct way, what your inner manual says is correct? Do you have any thoughts? Yeah, you've noticed that?
All the time. Yeah, definitely. I'm like, I have to follow through. And integrity is huge for me. So if I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it, you know?
Right.
Sometimes I'm just, it's a struggle for sure.
Well,
for sure.
And just even giving yourself the grace, if it's not my genius and money and time were unlimited, would I do it, or would I invite someone to partner with me?
Yeah. That's a beautiful way to frame it. Yes, because I can think of a lot of things where I'm like, I would certainly pay somebody else to do that for me. Yes.
And not anything.
Right.
Now,
right.
What would you not like to pay somebody to do? Let's just go with your podcast for a minute. Think of all the good questions. So I love the partner that I have in my business because she loves to think of the questions for me. It exhausts me to think of the questions.
No, it's me. I love doing that. I love finding the people to have on the podcast. I love connecting with them beforehand and the connection piece and talking to them and building, the rapport. I love all of that. But I would gladly outsource the back end.
And what we really want to do is help people avoid the guilt and judgment that comes from somehow let's be able to do all 6 steps. Nobody can. Nobody has the genius to do it. Now we can become competent in it, but it will most likely create burnout. Doing the competencies over it. Like when something is your frustration and exhausting, if you've done any kind of self-awareness work, you're going to find a way to not continually do that. But when we're competent in something, especially as women, and we get paid in praise, we were doing the thing that is draining the life and energy out of us.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's always because of a thought. So can you think of what thought would say to you, okay, money and time are unlimited, but I'm not going to pay anybody to do this. I'm going to finish everything to do it correctly. I'm going to make sure it's done. Like I work for somebody right now and she has a cleaning person and she could clean her own home better than any cleaning person, but she doesn't have the time. It's not the best place for her energy to go. Right. She has a thought that keeps her doing some of these things. Like it's better for me to do it and do it perfectly than to have her do it and do it to an 80-90% accuracy. But she's doing those things at her own expense because we all have a limit to our energy.
Yeah, mine would be like, I should. Either there's no reason to outsource it. I don't have the resources to outsource it. Like I should because I can. Yeah.
So what do you think of that thought? Is that something I take with you for summer 2024?
Oh no. I mean, I'm pretty good at catching it because it's like we should all over ourselves. Yeah. You know, it's like, where's that coming from? When should pops up, like who says you should?
Right. And Enneagram 1's to notice, I'm the one making the manual. Yes, it's my thought that's speaking and no one else is hearing this. Like that was a big aha for you to notice that like not everyone hears the inner critic that you have. Right. Only Enneagram 1s have it. So then they're assuming everybody's just ignoring this loud voice saying you should. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Such a good point. Yeah. And that inner critic piece, like I just assumed everyone was seeing these things about me that I was experiencing, you know, and I'm just like, oh gosh, of course I shouldn't do those things. Everyone else also thinks I should. So it's really freeing.
Yeah. So are you noticing anything that when you get to do it, it actually gives you a little bit of energy? So no matter how tired I am, when I get the chance to use my discerning and my enablement, my equipping of other people, it always energizes me. Can you think of one of these 6 steps that actually brings you some energy?
I would say it's either wonder or ideating. I don't know which one I'd have to dig into that a little bit more.
But that piece together goes so sweetly together. So do you gift yourself with time every week to maybe go to your favorite coffee shop, ask some good questions and ideate for the fun of it? Like when do you, because it's almost like taking a vitamin that refuels you for everything else in your life.
I don't. I need to. You know, but I feel like my best ideas come in the shower, like so many people say. So there's that, but there's not like a set chunk of time where I give myself the space to do that.
And that's one of the things I'll be talking about this summer. I have a program called Soul Care and Sunshine, and we're really focusing on the artist way this year. And one of the things she talks about is morning pages, which is every single day taking out that notebook and using some specific time. And if we kind of build our life around what President Eisenhower created called the Eisenhower Matrix, there are things in life that are important and there are things that are urgent.
Yeah.
And this is important, but not urgent because it gives you the energy for your life.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't show up in your schedule, no one's going to put it there because there's no urgency. It's not a recital. It's not going grocery shopping. It's not cleaning up the backpack after school. It's important, but not urgent. So if it's not scheduled, it just doesn't happen. It happens in the shower because it's so important. And you know what? So many women will notice this. It happens at 3:00 in the morning.
Interesting. I think that's so good. It's just another way to consider yourself in your busy schedule, you know, and it doesn't have to be a 2-hour chunk, right? Like go take a walk outside by yourself and see what happens.
But for you, if you are an ideator, or especially if you are a wonder, and that's what I really loved about our episode with Cheryl, is she was realizing for the first time, not only do I have this genius, I didn't know it. I didn't honor it. And then the people around me were trying to make me do more and more of what was so frustrating to me, instead of allowing me to do the beautiful gift that would have moved everything forward, right? So if you find that you have the gift of wonder, the gift of ideating, and it's not happening in your regular life, so you have to think of your genius as like a vitamin. You know, it's the intake of energy. It's moving you forward. And if you don't make the time for it, one, it'll either come out sideways, or two, you're just going to get a little bit more tired every day. And then you have to recover, 7 blocks of energy instead of just taking that 30 minutes some point during the week. And like you said, it's not a big deal. It's literally like, okay, I'm just gonna go in this other room for 20 minutes. But how much sweeter if there was no time, no money, no energy limit, where would you go? So like, you're still in the Kathy Heller program that I'm in?
Not currently. No.
Okay. Well, she was saying yesterday that she's like, this is what I'm creating by meditating 20 minutes a day. I wonder what I could create 40 minutes of meditating a day.
Yeah.
This is the life you're creating without time set aside to wonder and ideate on purpose. What could you create? So if there was no limit to your time, energy, you just had all the time and energy and money you wanted, where would you go on a weekly basis to gift yourself time for this genius?
I am very lucky. We live about 25 minutes from Lake Michigan. I would be out there catching the sunset at least once a week by myself.
I love that. So now you have a goal for the summer. Could you go once? Could you go twice?
Totally.
And when you see the benefit of that, like, oh, look at that. I just planned out the next 3 months. I just the whole book downloaded to me that I'm going to be sharing. I have, the next 5 podcasts completely outlined.
Yeah.
That's an amazing thing once we realize. Now, I could do that same exact thing. I love the ocean. I live near it. If I went to the ocean just to wonder and ideate, it wouldn't really do very much for me. But what I have to do is spend time with people, helping them discern what's their next step. And then that fills me with the energy to keep moving. So it's so fun. Now, one of the most important things about geniuses before we end our time together, when we have a gift and we can see how it can serve people, it is hard not to just jump in. And when I went through the life coach school, one of the most important things they taught us is, it was right at the beginning of COVID. They're like, if you were a nurse and you had a vaccine that could fix everything, you can't stab people with it. They have to be open and receptive.
Yeah.
So you can't just stop and be like, can I help you wonder and invent how to fix this? And I can't do it as well. And I think especially for moms, this is where it gets hard. When they're sweet little babies, they just even want to be in the bathroom with you, right? Like you're taking a shower, they just want to be in the room with you. As they get older and independent and become their full selves, we need to find a way to ask permission just like we would with a friend. And noticing this, would you want to sit with me and just come up with a few questions and ideas? And for me, I love that my kids have the language. They're like, Mom, we're not looking for a coach right now. We're looking for a mom. We don't want your enablement and discernment. We're just wanting to sit and listen. But the encouragement for moms is as you grow in your own genius, to notice that as they're growing, we just want to keep that honor with them the same way we would with a friend. And it's so hard when you can see the answer, but they're not currently open and receptive to it.
Wow. I can't imagine what that transition is going to be like when they're older, right? And especially because I just want everything to be okay and beautiful, and if you just go this way.
Well, it's so fun to hang out and chat. We should do this on your Instagram again next week.
Yeah. Kelly, please remind everybody what's available, what you're working on, and how people can work with you.
Sure. So I'm Coach Kelly Tibbits on Instagram. I have a podcast called Live a Vibrant Life, and I offer group coaching for moms so we can stay in that energized, aligned energy, create mutually flourishing relationships, and invest your best energy in your dreams and your purpose. So you can listen to it on any platform. You can reach out on Instagram. I love to help people discover their Enneagram, their working genius, and where their best energy lives in their day.
I love it so much. Can I tell you that, let's see, we've hung out several times now. You're on my podcast. We've done this a few times. I feel like my soul has been hugged every time I hop on with you. So thank you so much for that. It's so lovely. It's so lovely. Thanks so much, Kelly.
See you soon. Bye.
Bye.
That's a wrap on another episode of the Having a Mom Moment podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in and for sharing this space with us today. Before you go, don't forget to check out the show notes for any links or resources mentioned in today's episode. And hey, while you're at it, why not give me a follow on Instagram and Facebook at Having a Mom Moment. You can also visit havingamaMoment.com for even more mom-inspired resources. If you've enjoyed today's conversation as much as I have, please be sure to hit that subscribe button so you never miss out on future episodes. And it would mean so much if you leave us a glowing 5-star review on your favorite podcast platform. Until next time, remember to embrace those mom moments, find alignment in your journey, and always honor the incredible woman you are. Take care, friends, and we'll see you on the next episode.